welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be explaining to you what is a for loop. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, make sure to hit that ring bell. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to get started in today's episode, I want you guys to open the same website that we have been coding so far with. And also, I am opening MDN. What you're going to type here in MDN is this, in this portion in the search box, is just the word loops to find this article. Okay, you can type in loops, and then you're going to click on the first article that says loops and iteration. Okay, so you can have the same window that I have right now. And then, of course, my portion of code right here on Visual Studio Code and the website, as I said, that we're coding so far with. So the first thing that you might be wondering is what is a loop, right? So is the same thing like if you were doing, or if you were managing a playlist, let's say on YouTube, right? And you want that playlist to loop over and over again. Well, that's what the word loop means. Now, if you read here a little bit in MDN, it says that loops offers a quick and easy way to do something repeatedly. So as I said, a loop is just something that is going to repeat. That is going to help us repeat, let's say, a portion of code over and over again. Okay. Now, the loop that we're going to be taking a look today is the for loop. Now, there are a couple of loops that you can use. They all have the same function, which is just to repeat a portion of code over and over again, or a portion of steps over and over again, if I may say. And here are the type of loops that are provided in JavaScript. You have the for statement, you have the do while statement, you have the while statement, label statement, break, continue statement, for in and for off. Okay, so I am not going to confuse you with all the statements for now. I am just simply going to explain what is the for loop for, so that you can have a quick and clear understanding of this, and then we, in later episodes, are going to touch bases on the rest of them, okay? And if you want to get yourself ahead, you are more than welcome to just simply go ahead and actually read through it, okay? So the for loop in JavaScript is used for iterating, meaning repeating over a block of code multiple times. Now, the for loop will consist in three optional statements. So if you go ahead and you scroll here a little bit here, it says the for statement, right? So a for loop repeats until a specified condition evaluates to false. The JavaScript for loop is similar to the Java and C for loop, which are other programming languages that you don't have to worry about. Okay, so here's the syntax. You're going to use the word for, and then you're going to open parentheses. You're going to type in an initialization. Then you're going to type in a condition and then an afterthought. Okay, so here is what is going to happen when the for loop executes. First, the initialization expression, right? If any is executed, then the expression usually initializes one or more loop counters. But the syntax allows an expression of any degree of complexity. So this expression can also declare new variables, okay? Now the condition, which is the second portion right here, is used to evaluate if the value condition is true, then the loop statement will execute. Otherwise, the for loop will end, is going to terminate, right? So if the condition expression is omitted entirely, the condition is assumed to be true and is going to loop over and over and over again, and you don't want that to be happening. So that's why it's very important that you add a condition in your for loop, okay? And then the statement will execute the statement, whatever statement you write in, multiple times, and you will use it with curly brackets, okay? So it's going to look somehow like this. Let me just show you an example into our code. You're going to have here the word for, then you're going to open parentheses, right? And then in here, you're going to open the curly brackets, which is where your condition pretty much is going to, look in here, right? Okay, so just remember, in the parentheses, the first thing that you need to do is initialize something, right? Then you're going to open a condition, and then you are going to determine whether if it's going to increment or decrement your code, right? And just quick note, to increment something in JavaScript, you're going to use these operation, the addition operation twice. This means that it's incrementing something. Okay, if you use plus plus, it's going to increment something. Just remember that for now. Now I'm going to give you an example because I know that probably you're a bit confused for now, so that you can see how this will work. So let's say that we're going to create a for loop right now. If I go ahead and I input here in the parentheses the first thing, which is how I initialize my for loop, I'm going to say let I equal to 0. And then I am going to close that first variable that I am, initializing, right? So if I say let I equal to 0, what I mean is let the index equal to 0. Now remember when we were talking about arrays and I explained to you what is an index and how they work? Well, the letter I here stands for index. So the index will start at 0. That's what I am declaring here. That's what I am initializing in here. Now the second portion of code is going to be the condition, right? Because it says here, the second portion of code has to be the condition, right? So then we're going to add a condition here, which the for loop is going to analyze and see if it's true or false. And whenever the condition is false, then the code will stop, right? So we're going to set here the index, which is going to be less than, let's make it 5 just for the sakes of it so you can see something very quick. So now we set up the index at 0, right? Let I equal 0. Now, if the index is less than 5, it's going to repeat over and over again, right? So then I'm going to say I, and then I am going to use the increment operation, the increment operation symbol. Okay, so this is what we are getting explained here in MDN. Just trying to make this easy. I'm just trying to explain this easier for you. So the first thing is the declaration, right? We are declaring that we're initializing I in 0. Then we're setting up here a condition. If I is less than 5, then I want it to repeat over and over again. Whenever I is 5 or greater than 5, then the condition or the code, the for loop is going to stop. Okay? Now, in the curly brackets, what we want to say, here's where we tell, our code what to do. So what we're going to say is just simply console.log the letter I, which is console.log the index, right? So as soon as I type all of this in here, I'm going to hit save. Now let's go back to our code and let's hit refresh. And there you go. So as you can see, I didn't have to type in a console.log I equal to 0, console.log I equal to 1, console.log I equal to 2. I don't have to do that, because if I do not use the for loop, then I'll have to do that every single time, right? But in this case, since I am using a for loop, it's easier for me because this portion of code right here is doing exactly that without me having to input console.log 5 times. Now, remember, anything that is less than 5. Now, you can go ahead and actually change the number and play around with this. I mean, we can go ahead and instead of 5, say 10, right? So then the for loop is going to execute whenever I is less than 10, right? So if I hit save, going back to our code, let's hit refresh, and there you go. Now we have from 0 to 9, because obviously 10 will be, we're not setting up this as equal, less or equal than 10, right? So what we can do also is that if you want to go ahead and display the number 10 from 0 to 10, you can perfectly do that. The only thing we have to do in here is just add the equal assignment operator, right? So we just add that in here. So now we're saying to our condition, if I is less or equal to 10, then repeat it over and over again, right? So now I'm going to hit save. Going back to our code, let's hit refresh. And now we have the number 10 display because we just added another operator, which is, changing the condition of our for loop. So I hope that so far this is clear, but let me just show you one more example, and then you're going to have the homework to study this and try to make your own for loops, okay? Okay, everybody, so let me just show you another quick example and another thing that you can do with the for loop. Let's say that you want to not use just the index itself and leave it empty. Then you can go ahead and you can add some text to the index. So let's go ahead and let's say that I want to say for let I equal to 0, and then we're going to say if I is less, and let's make it 10. Okay, if I is less than 10, then repeat I over and over again, right? And then let's open curly brackets in here, and then instead of saying console.log I, this time I will say console.log, and then in parentheses, I am simply going to say hello, and let's say hello everyone, right? Just let's say hello everyone. And let's close this out. Let's hit save. Going back to our code, let's hit refresh. Oops. Okay, so you got to be very careful when you're typing your code in here, because you see here, I did an error and I didn't add a space here after let. So that's not declaring I to 0. I was just let I, I was confusing just JavaScript code. So just make sure that you're careful with the spaces, semicolons, columns, all of that you add in here, because, you can get this type of errors. So let's go ahead and let's hit save, and let's hit refresh now. And there you go. Now, hello everyone has been repeated 10 times. This is what it means, right? So that's another thing that you can do with JavaScript. So I hope this tutorial was really easy for you and that you have learned a lot today. Now remember, it's important that you go to MDN in here and you study this. Make sure to read, make sure to get familiar with for loops, and make sure to study a lot, because that's the only way that you're going to learn JavaScript faster, by reading MDN, all the articles, so that you can learn, day by day, and you can make sure that you are moving one step forward. Okay, everyone, so that was it for this episode. I hope you liked it. Remember, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everyone, and see you again in the next episode.